Welcome back. I'm working on the front mounts for the rear leaf springs on the truck. There's the rear. I've finished it up, painted and everything. These brackets I designed myself and I sent it out to get cut, laser cut and everything. So I learned from doing the front spring mounts. I designed some keys along. You can see some here and here. They're not great welds yet. I mean, they're improving. But yeah, I put some keys in there so everything just slid in to place, and then all I had to do was weld it. So a lot easier to get done than the front ones. So what I did was I grounded down the old bracket, which is here. I just did the second one as well. This is the one on the passenger side. So you could see all I did was grab a flap disc on a grinder. I just ground it down. It's a lot easier than the rear mounts because there's no edge back here. It is a bit harder on the driver's side, which has the e-brake cable bracket thing on the side here. So I just cut that off with a sawzall, and then I was able to get in here, get it out for the driver's side. So originally they were sticking up like this, and then this would be on the top of the frame, and then there's this mount up here that's also welded in the back side, so this wouldn't just come out when I took the rivets, grinded the rivets down, but it did bend. So I just took a pry bar. We'll just pretend this is a pry bar, and there's a little lip, so the frame would be flat here. There was a little lip down here. I just took a pry bar and pried it out and up enough to where the front had just enough gap for me to fit my saw blade in there, and then I just cut it out. You can see that in the frame here. Right here. I'm gonna leave it as it is. I can't really take it out because, well, there's no room. And I think I just realized I think it did bend the top of the frame down a little bit. I'm not too sure. I don't know if that's gonna be okay structurally. I'm sure it'll be fine. But yeah, I just bent that, cut it out, because there's no way I could get in here. There's the frame. There's no way I could have gotten there, got those out, because I don't have the equipment. And usually when people are doing this, they don't have the body on, so they could just get it from the top. But yeah, you could just cut it, and then I'm just gonna leave it there because I can't take it out. And so this is welded on. I use the two rivet holes at the bottom. This is because the mounting hole for the spring is centered in the bracket, and I didn't want to just eyeball it or find any other way to measure it out, because if I centered it into my bracket, so this mounting hole would be centered on my bracket, and then I just used these two bolt holes, measured them, and then put holes in this plate here. And all I did was didn't even have to drill into the frame because the holes are already existing in there, and that basically lined it up for me. And the reason why you want to do that, and you want the front mounts to be exactly where they were, at least for me, I want them exactly where they were, just lowered. So before they were where this hole is, and now it's lowered about 7 inches. Reason why I wanted it to be exactly where they are is because, one, it's easier to line it up with these two bolt holes. That way I could just bolt it in, and it's already where the factory location would have been, just dropped. This is going to be fixed to the frame, where the other side, it's got the shackle there, so the other side's gonna move back and forth a little bit. It doesn't really matter. But the front, as long as the front is the same, that means the axle is gonna be in the exact same spot. And it's not gonna be like all twisted up, or fronts, like the passenger side would be front and then the driver's side would be back a little bit. I wanted the axle to be exactly the same. At least that's what I did that because I thought both sides of the holes were going to be the same, and I found out the hard way once I tried to get the passenger side in. It's not welded up yet. I'm gonna have to take it out and make the holes bigger. So basically this hole, so the front side hole on the driver's side is going forward a slight bit. So the rear one's the same as the other side. So what I did was, well, I made a mistake at first because I thought I'd have to move this back slightly a little bit from the rear one. So I bored this hole out, and then I kind of made it to where it's both, this bracket is like pushed back a slight bit, like a 1/16 off that hole. And now this bracket is actually sitting a 1/16 forward than the other side, which isn't that big of an issue, but I would like it to be the same, and it's pretty easy to make it the same. All I'd have to do now, take this back out, bore out this hole, and then this one just a slight bit, and that'll give me just enough room to slide this forward a little bit. Yeah, the frame side is going to be bigger, so I mean I meant to say drilling out the frame side, so the hole on the bracket would be the same. So the frame side hole is going to be bigger, but I'm going to use a washer on the other side to bolt this in, and I'm keeping these bolts in here for a reason, because I cut out the e-brake line bracket here, and I'm gonna weld some tabs to get it to bolt back into the factory location, kinda. But I wanted to lower it a little bit, but I haven't really figured out a way to do that, so I think I'm gonna have to try to get it into the factory location, even though these gussets are gonna kind of be in the way. So I'm probably gonna have to space it out just a tad bit, but yeah, I'll figure that out later. And then I'm also gonna be welding all of these in place as well. That's why I included these 2 holes on each side. That's to plug weld that so that it's in there better. And I also included some gussets and plate at the bottom side to weld that in as well. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take this out and bore out those holes. Alright, it's been like a few hours. I spent the entire day trying to line this thing up. Yeah, I have 1 bolt in, 2 clamps at the bottom, just to attempt to line it up with the other side. And what I was doing to line that up was I was measuring from top of the frame rail to that top edge of that plate there on both sides, and then I measured center of the bolt hole, and I just had my tape measure in that hole right there, because as you can see the other side it's got one, and I'm just hoping that one's the same. And so far I've got it close enough to where I'm okay with it. I've just been messing around with this thing all day. I'm just gonna tack it up. I already tacked it up once, and then I took a step back and looked at it, and it was completely twisted, so I had to grind off all the taps, or not the taps, the welds. As you can see up here, that was where the old hole was, and I gapped it out quite a bit, and then eventually I realized I would have had to grab an end mill, so I grabbed an end mill and I just kind of shaved off to the side here. And this one I did a little bit, but now that I lined all this up, that thing fit without any issue. So it was just this side, and it looks like it'll fit now, and because that side was out over on this side before, that was where the hole was, and I just made it bigger, and then this side is bolted in now. But yeah, there's a little gap here that I don't really like. Well, I guess there's no more gap now, but I think that's because this frame, the bottom of the frame is slightly bent up because of the jack stands or something. Not too sure. All right, so now I'm just gonna tack that up, and then I'm gonna get that other bolt in because I don't know if I'm gonna have to run a drill through that hole to clear it out on both of them. So I'm gonna tack up the front first, and then I'll be able to take out all the bolts and the clamps at the bottom to check everything. Okay, so waiting for the paint to dry right now. I fully welded it, and then I just painted it real fast because it started raining. It should dry sand, so I think it is still, no, it's dry. Yeah, so I took the bolts out on both sides. I'm gonna use these bolts to, I think what I'm gonna do now with the brake line, with the brake cable, I'm just gonna, because it was pulled this way, I'm probably gonna have it out here a little bit so it clears this gusset block thing here, and then and then it'll go over the leaf spring, hopefully, because I really don't want to, because of how much rust there is, I don't want to take it out and then have to make my own custom line. So I'm trying to keep it the same length as possible. I did unbolt that spot, you can kind of see it right there. I did unbolt that from the axle because it was holding it down, and then that gave me a bit more leeway. And then I took it out of this. This was the hanger for the lines, and then I took it off that, so now I can drop lower, even lower. While this is dry, I think I'm probably gonna try to put the leaf springs on tonight because I have a little more time, and then but tomorrow I should be able to hopefully get this axle back up on the leaf springs. Yeah, anyway, I have it fully welded in. I think I forgot to mention I blocked it off. I forgot to design that, so all I did was I just cut some rectangle pieces and welded it on both sides. And yeah, I'm actually really happy with how the welds came out on this side. The gas I got, I'm pretty sure they mixed up the gases, because ever since I got this, the weld's been acting really weird. I've been getting bubbles and stuff, and then it kind of helps. I just figured out that if I have the gun at around 90 degrees, I'm thinking more of the gas hits the weld, so it doesn't bubble up as much. But I was getting that when I was welding that, and then I had to grind it a bunch of times just to redo it over and over again. But this time, everything's improved a lot more. Mostly because of my little change I did there with my welding, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that gas isn't the right one. Anyway, next thing up is these shackles I was going to use when I was doing the leaf spring up front. I was going to use these shackles up front. Now that I think about it, they seem a bit long, because when I put this up, I painted this back part too, so it's kind of dry. I mean, not dry, but wet. But when I put it up, you can see it hanging down, way down off the bumper, and it's also like 9 inches from eye to eye, and the factory one is like half its size. I'm not necessarily half. So I think I'm probably gonna bolt this one back up, see how high it is, and if I need any lift, I'll probably, the highest I'll go with the shackle is probably gonna be that hole right there. So I'm gonna cut this off, and I'm gonna have to cut the back off a little, cut a little piece off the back here to clear that round part on the leaf spring, and that'll give me about roughly 1 inch of lift after that. So yeah, I don't really want this thing sitting all the way down here. It seems a little too tall. Yeah, and then if I need extra lift, I'll just add some blocks at the bottom. The main thing was I was trying to avoid getting like a 12-inch block under here. And as of recording this video right now, I think we are at 110 1 subscribers. So thank you guys for supporting me and following the channel. Thank you guys for watching. Please like this video. Go ahead and check out my other videos I have on the this truck, and then my BMW, and then that's my daily, so don't really have any videos on that. But yeah, my BMW, my truck, just content on building all this stuff. I'll see you guys in the next video.